Okay, I did talk about roundworms in the last segment, and so I'm going to go on now to the hookworm, which the hookworm usually is common in warmer regions, but it's disease marked by blood loss because the hookworm, they usually show they drink a large amounts of blood, the person's blood, and people with this parasite usually show signs of anemia and malnutrition. So these worms can burrow into the skin of the human host, and they cause allergic reactions called itch, ground itch, blisters, and itching skin. And they can go into the digestive tract where they attach to the walls of the intestine and drink blood. And it can lay thousands of eggs a day. So these all have remedies, and I'm not going to try to give you all of the remedies today, but there are remedies for each one of these. I would suggest you buy Hannah's book. There's another common parasite called whipworm, especially in children who live in warm, humid climates and in areas of poor sanitation. We probably see whipworm in a lot of children that live where they don't have clean drinking water. And heavy infections can show appendicitis, prolapse, edema of the rectum, and damage to the intestinal wall. And they say that lots of whipworm cases cancer cases are afflicted with worms, but they don't always make tumors. There's a penworm. The penworm can be very small, and it inhabits the rectum and other portions of the small and large intestines. And these female worms crawl down the intestines and pass out of the anus to lay their eggs. And again, there's thousands of those as well. And sometimes when people have pinworms, they'll have itching in their anus. There's dog heartworm, which a lot of you know about if you have pets. But it's becoming increasingly common in humans because it lives in the heart, blood vessels, and the lungs of an animal, and then the adults may get it, and it could come through the bite of a mosquito. Trichinosis is a tiny roundworm that can cause many diseases. It has a unique life cycle. It is a disease of any meat-eating animal, rats, pigs, bears, dogs, and human. And we as humans may become infected by eating the larva that is in an infected animal. Okay, then there are the single cell parasites called protozoa. And there's several protozoa. And this was very interesting. The protozoa, I can't say it. Protozoa has many different associated diseases. Arthritis, asthma, colitis, degenerative muscle diseases, diabetes, elevated white blood cell, Hodgkin's disease, leukemia, lymphoma, multiple sclerosis, ovarian cysts, psoriasis, and pyorrhea. Many ulcers and swellings all can result from a protozoa infection. And sometimes you can find things on the inside of your foot that make you know that you've got some of the various parasites. Toxoplasmosis, you've heard of that. Many animals act as hosts, especially man, and these mild cases can be mistaken for a severe case of the flu or mononucleosis with chills, fever, headache. As the parasites infect the organs, the symptoms become worse. The liver, brain, heart, and eyes can all be damaged. So Hodgkin's disease, leukemia, heart problems, blindness, pneumonia, and low blood sugar can all be related to toxoplasmosis. And there's cryptosporidium. You've probably heard of that before. It's usually in drinking water, and the reports I've heard that it has become immune to the chlorine, so it's infected 50% of our drinking water. So not only metals, but also parasites can be in the water that we drink if it's not clear. There's a similar protozoan parasite called Sarcocystis, and it may be similar, but it does affects the central nervous system, the heart, lungs, and adrenal glands, liver, and intestines. And it may be through eating undercooked meat or ingesting the spores. Sometimes parasites get into the spinal fluid and can cause a very, very bad reaction because that's the nervous system. So you may be having things that are related, you think are related to the nervous system, that may be the result of a parasitic infection. Okay, Trichomonas I can't say it, but vaginalis, Trichomonas vaginalis. This is a protozoa that lives in the vagina, and I think every woman knows about that. Giardia is another one, and that usually, I've heard people say from mountain water, but you can get contaminated through food or water containing the cyst, and even infected articles like clothes or diapers. Children are usually more affected, and it's very contagious with a large number of cysts being passed in a small amount of feces. I've read that often mountain water where animal feces has flowed into the water is a cause of the Giardia. And of course there's the amoeba. There's some amoeba found in the mouth, and some that cause fatal brain infections. The liver usually gets involved. Then the tapeworm. The tapeworm, I have actually seen tapeworms. The tapeworm can become 4 to 5 inches long. And I know someone that had a tapeworm, and we did some cleansing and killing a process, herbs for killing and getting rid of worms and parasites, and she passed a worm about a foot long. It was dead, but it had been before. Her stomach had been very full, and we didn't know why. It was almost like a nut, and that's what it was. So there's bladder worms, pork tapeworms, dog tapeworms, broadfish tapeworms, dwarf tapeworms, rat tapeworm. And so one of the things for tapeworms, and I don't know if you like them, but I eat pumpkin seeds a lot. So with tapeworms, you can pumpkin seeds and garlic, all of those, and hot pepper. So then there's flukes. Flukes are flatworms that have two ventral suckers that allow them to attach to the host. So when a fluke is there, the body doesn't have much way to get rid of it until they kill it. So the flukes, like a liver fluke, they're tiny flatworms that can make holes throughout the liver. And in the lung, they can cause oxygen problems. So the weakened lungs can attract other illnesses like pneumonia. So thinking about lung flukes, killing and getting rid of lung flukes can eliminate a lot of possible congestion in the lungs. And there's a blood fluke. And the blood flukes can cause you to have blood clots, and the heart suffers. And sometimes people cannot sleep well at night. Of course, a lot of these, most of these parasites are more active during the full moon. So if you find that you're having certain symptoms more than at the full moon than at other times, start checking for parasites. And then, excuse me, they're spirochetes. And the spirochetes were finally found when the electron microscope came about and started to find this little spiral-shaped bacteria. And so in New Zealand and Australia, they have found it in sheep and other domestic animals. So the spirochete can bend their bodies and oscillate while they're adhering to some object. So they can cause sores, jaundice, ulcers, and many things that are widespread that you cannot figure out what it is. One kind of spirochete comes from apes, and it causes tiredness, light fever, muscle pain, joint pain, interrupted sleep, and heavy feeling in the legs. So these are all some of the parasites, and they have different categories, subcategories, I should say. So signs of parasites in spirits. Whew, can't speak. Signs of parasites in children can be blisters inside their mouth when they wipe their nose and are grinding their teeth. If they grind their teeth at night, it's usually a sign that they have worms. In adults, chronic fatigue, immune dysfunction, constipation, diarrhea, gas and bloating, anemia, nervousness, and allergies. And that doesn't always mean that you have parasites, but 9 times out of 10, you have some type of invader in your body because we just don't always wash food and drink the purest water. I'm always conscious of, I don't drink tap water, but I often wonder if the bottled water is contaminated. The water that we refill is supposed to have gone through UV and various things to cleanse it, but we don't know what we're getting. And as I have talked many times about the fruit and vegetables that we get, soak them in something that's going to get rid of the parasites. Don't just bring things in, rinse them off, and eat them. Some of the foods that you can add to your diet, and there are many more, but here's a list of some. Pumpkin seeds, which because they're rough, they cut the worms. They have a tendency to cut into the worms. Calamari Calmenra figs. At this time of night, I think my voice and my mouth are starting to fail on me. Calmerna figs, because the tiny seeds will tear the skin of the worms. Garlic, apple cider vinegar, cranberry juice, and pomegranates are all things that you can add to the diet to help you to deal with any parasites that you have. Foods to avoid, of course you know this: raw and undercooked beef, pork, fish, and chicken, sugars and carbohydrates, mountain water, water chestnuts and watercress, fruits and vegetables that are unwashed or washed in questionable water. So, this is what I can give you today about parasites. I'm checking the time. And there are certain indicators, and this book has many things to help you with dealing with the parasites that you think you don't have and won't get. So please pay attention to your body, and think about why you want to find out about the causes of any illness that you have. Every illness has a cause, so I would think that at some point you want to find out why you have this, not just start putting drugs on top of it and thinking that's going to cure it. The healing is going to come from cleansing, taking care of your body, cleansing and rebuilding your body. So that's it for today. I hope this has been informative, and look forward to seeing you again.